I think we got it.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for all the people that endured that train wreck. But we're here. Mikey, how
train wreck?
Good Lord. Well, I mean, you and I have done worse, and in public. This is not the worst thing
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Together.
Made it through several Blade shows, so I think this is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to embarrass myself on the drive again.
Oh yeah, I think I might actually drive it too because of all the new restrictions with flying and everything. I think I'm just going to make a nice cross-country drive and hit some nice some diners along the way and just eat some good old heart-clogging food.
Yeah, no, I was talking about like on the drive. We were going back through some pictures, some of the old days, and there's a picture of Mikey, the hair flowing. He's kind of sitting Indian style, sort of zen-like on the drive, holding court, talking with some people. And there's some cat laying there, and I'm like, who is this poor bastard? Looks like he's passed out on the drive. And then I looked at the picture a little closer. I'm like, oh, that's me.
Whoops, that's me.
Yeah, maybe we need to pull that one off the old USN and the interwebs. Apparently, I needed that.
I think there's probably a few Blade Show pictures out there that somebody's just sandbagging, wait until we're old bastards that they're going to release.
Yeah. Our computer that we started with crashed and burned. So all those Vegas pictures from year one are gone, by the way.
Oh, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So anyhow, well, how are things out in the Seattle area in Washington? How are things going for you, Mike?
Well, as you know, we are here in the Pacific Northwest, and we're always battling with our local state politics. But you know, people seem to be just kind of starting to get back out. As you know, I have a retail store, so I've been able to kind of gauge what's, you know, kind of how the retail sales are going through the, whatever you want to call it. I suppose we can call it a pandemic for now. You know, people don't know if they got to wear a mask when they come in, and most people aren't trying to go out and spend too much frivolous money because, you know, a lot of people have lost their jobs and stuff. But it seems like it's coming back now. It seems like the doors are starting to open back up. We surely have, and you know, we've gotten a little bit of grief from it, but probably not from any real serious customers. But it's you know, it just kind of sucks that things are the way that they are right now. And we've had to, you know, kind of diversify some of our efforts as far as selling online and, you know, trying to do more through our distributors and dealers. And, but yeah, it is what it is now. I'm hoping that things, you know, I'm hoping that we're kind of on the downside of this thing.
But now you have two stores now, do you not?
I do. I have one here in Eatonville, which you've actually been to, and then I have one in Libby, Montana, another small little mountain town, just like Eatonville, Washington.
How's the Montana store doing?
Somebody just said scamdemic. Thank you. Wait, let me get my mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have two retail stores now. The goal was that we would, and probably even carry the Sniper Bladeworks stuff, you know, like we've talked about. The goal was to start these little stores and pop them up in little mountain towns and in areas where there's no Walmarts and Targets and Sportsman's Warehouse and stuff like that, but where people actually use knives and hunt and fish and that kind of thing, kind of as a way of life. And it's done quite well for us here in Washington, in the Eatonville area. I would never go to Seattle or anything like that, just because, not just because it's Seattle and because they're burning it to the ground, but also because there's more competition there, and it's a branded store. We only sell our products as of right now.
How's the Montana store doing?
The Montana store is a little slower than it has been. I think just largely because we're more rooted here in Washington State, and because I've been here and obviously working with the Blade Tech folks and stuff like that for years. There's a lot of people in this area that know me and know more, I suppose, about not just myself, but my brand. And they kind of been following me around wherever I go. In Montana, we don't have that local connection yet, but it's growing. It's you know, the great thing about being in these smaller towns is that the leases are pretty inexpensive. So, you know, $600 or $800 a month for a lease, and you can put up a pretty nice little store. So
Right.
we're just going to keep
Well,
it, and it pays for itself. It doesn't make a profit, but it pays for itself right now. And you know, the goal is to open like 50 stores, and if we can do that, kind of bring the local hometown knife store type, you know, feeling back. Because the great thing about having a store is you have a service center. So even if I have some stores that aren't really making a profit, but they're still able to kind of pay for themselves, we have those service centers out there where people can come in and get their knife sharpened, or get a, you know, little screw put in it, or, you know, replace a clip or something. Because those are really the biggest customer service issues for a knife company, is usually somebody's missing a clip screw or two, and so the knife sits in their drawer forever, and they'll end up
right.
going and buying another knife. They'll try another brand, or, you know, and I experienced, you know, I saw a lot of this firsthand when I worked with Spyderco, is that somebody will send their knife in to be sharpened, and if you have a backlog, you might not get your knife back for a couple of weeks. And so what do you do if you really need a knife? You walk in the, you know, nearest store and you buy some piece of crap, you know, and or you might buy something really nice and you might get turned on to another brand,
Right.
you know. But yeah, just to provide the service is really what I want the stores for.
Yeah, and I think people miss the knife store experience. You know, it was cool when they had the knife stores in the mall with the giant Swiss Army knife that the
Oh
scissors
yeah,
would work and the blade
yeah,
would. You know, I loved that as a kid. Shit, I loved it as an adult when, you know, when I was younger. They don't really have that anymore. So I think that's cool that you're bringing that back. Um, you know, sometimes the knife experience is more than just about selling the knives. You know, I like the historical background a lot on knives, and I think that's cool that you're bringing the knife experience back, where you can actually go into the store and let the kids run around and look at stuff and pick something
hmm,
out. You know, just like you go to the gun store as a kid
yeah.
and check the knife counter. So I think that's a ton of fun and
It
a neat
is.
thing.
It's an interactive
That's
thing. I mean, you know, like you said, kids come in here after school and they'll come hang out, and we offer free Wi-Fi, and we've usually got a little bowl of candy or some cookies over there or whatever. And you know, they may come in here 5 or 6 times and they don't spend any money. Maybe they don't have any money, but then we see, you know, a week or two goes by and their dad comes in here. It's like, hey, my kid tells me he hangs out here after school and he's been learning a lot about knives. And in a lot of cases, the kids will know more about the knives than the parents, because they've been hanging out in our store every day after school for weeks and weeks and weeks. And, you know, they're getting that education, and it sticks too. I mean, you'd be
right.
surprised when a kid's interested in something, you'd be really surprised what kind of stuff really sinks into them. They'll come in and say, hey, is that S30V? Is that 154 CM? You know, why should I buy a knife made out of D2? Where is this manufactured? Are those China? Is this Taiwan? Are they made in the USA? And so it's real encouraging to see kids, especially in these little mountain towns. It's real easy to find kids that are interested in stuff like that because they've grown up watching their grandpa, their uncle, and their Sword Knives is also a knife maker. Right on. We want knife makers here. But it's real encouraging to see the younger generation becoming enthused about not just buying knives and learning about knives, but sometimes, to tell you the truth, they end up, you know, we play Forged in Fire in here all day long on our flat screen TVs, and the kids will come in and watch Forged in Fire and they're like, man, I want to do that. Dad, let's build a forge, you know. And then they'll come in and say, hey, do you know who I can talk to about buying abrasives? Do you know where I can go to get different knife making materials? Where do you get these handles? And they ask all kinds of questions, and I just love to talk to especially the younger people about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the show experience, right? But you get to do it every day. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of
you
kids
know,
don't get to go to a knife show. So
and that's one of the things I do like about the shows is getting to meet the people that are buying and just talk knives with folks. So I think that's cool that you're getting to do that. The day I was there, when we weren't filming but just hanging out, those kids that came in that were either after school or off that day were entertaining. You know, and you could tell they were having a blast in there. So I think that's really neat.
yeah,
All right, talk to me, Mikey, about Kickstarter a little bit. You did. They like me to talk about the Kickstarter.
yeah,
Uh,
Kickstarter's great.
so, and we got the idea about Kickstarter from Mikey, or at least that seed got planted. And you did yours when did you do yours? Is it 3 years now? Two?
It was three, yeah, about 3 years, maybe 3.5 years now. Yeah, and the really cool thing about Kickstarter or really any crowdfunding platform is that you really give the end user, whether they know you or not, a chance to get in on the ground level of your stardom. It's the or in this case, your reload. I think I had come out of a kind of a strange partnership before where I was actually making what I called Mike Vellekamp knives, and then it turned into V Knives after that, rebranded and everything, and got more focused on brand than my own name. And
Right.
it was really, really cool to see how many people actually are out there that will support a good idea. And I thought it was a good idea, and it seemed to be. It looks like the brand's taken off pretty well. But there's always those times when you kind of question, like, are we gonna get funded, or once we do get funded, is it going to be enough to
Right.
not just get this done, but what's the next level? Because you need money for marketing. I mean, all this cool stuff that you have, your packaging, it's great packaging, right? But you got to have this packaging. You got to have all these little nuances about your brand and about your product that come out of those marketing dollars. And a lot of people, they sit and think, well, I can make this many of these for this amount of money. I can make this many of these, and I can do this production, and then I can get ready for the next batch. You need a catalog. You need T-shirts. You need coffee cups. You need stuff that, marketing materials that, keep that encouragement in the brand going. So, and you got to reach people. So you got to buy a couple of ads in Blade magazine or Knives Illustrated or American Survival Guide or whatever it is, Recoil magazine. All these
Recoil.
guys. Recoil, sure, and Caribou Publications. Big shout out there. But yeah, you need that kind of that little cushion sometimes, and being able to have that startup money really helps out a lot, even though you're not making all the profit you want to make out of it, because you're obviously giving people deals, to get in on that ground level. But it was good for us. It was real encouraging to see people who I'd never met before, people who, Blade Magazine says thanks.
I saw that.
They must have heard my shout out.
And blood. Yeah, building a brand is challenging, brother. Keep going, Mike.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it's so encouraging that, because when you start something, especially, I mean, I could tell the story that when I started to build this brand, and I'll try and make it kind of short and sweet. I don't know if people like this stuff or not, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I got a lot of stories. I do.
It's just you. You know what? This is
okay.
It's not my duty. We already got the job.
All right. If I lean back, it looks like I have horns on my head. Look at that. But anyway, yeah, back to the story. When my last partnership dissolved, and I broke away from the last company I was with, my water bill was due, and I only had about $140 in the bank, and it was either going to be get groceries or pay the water bill and keep the water bill on. I made a deal with the guy. I had a $100 bill in cash stashed. I gave him a $100 bill. He kept my water on. And I called some people up, some friends in the industry, just to reach out and say, what's going on? I'm not with this company anymore, blah, blah, blah. A very good friend of mine, Dan Costa from First Tactical, formerly 511 Tactical. He took the call. He said, hey, wow, that's great. We need designs. I said, okay, when? What do we do? He flew me out immediately. And I don't usually disclose this kind of stuff, and I won't say how much money I got out of it, but we came up with some really great designs. I worked with Corey Nicoluk, who's running the the design side and sales over at First Tactical. Great guy. And I had worked with him previously at 511 Tactical. I designed a lot of their knives. I designed like 25 knives for them. And they were ready to cut me a check that day and send me back home with a very large sum of money. Well, to me, I mean, I only had $140
right. So,
yeah. But they were able to make it so that with us designing and collaborating on these several different knives, I would be able to go home with enough money to pay my rent and then actually have a little bit of a cushion for the next month to figure out what I want to do. And I was encouraged by someone else in the industry to do a Kickstarter campaign for the new brand. And I was like, great. So what's the new brand? And I thought about my name, and I thought about Vellekamp knives and camp knives with a K and all that stuff. And I came up with V Knives, but it was spelled with a K. And I found out that and this is before I even had the logo and like a Viking V and all that.
Right.
It was just gonna be V Knives, and I went online and found out that the web domain had been taken, and that I couldn't use that for my website. So I thought, well, I got to go back. And then it was remembering being at the Link, which is owned by Guy Fieri in Las Vegas. It's spelled Linq. So I thought, wait a second, I could just drop the K and then the knives part and put the V in the middle of it, and it all jives pretty good. So it just all
worked out.
It all just kind of came together, and I was like, okay, so now that I have some kind of a brand image and a logo, because you have to, you know, and obviously you've had one for a long time, so it was a little bit easier relaunch, not having to go through all the rigors of trying to, you know, come up with, because after you start it, once you get that ball rolling, you can't go back and change it. You kind of have to keep those, you know, characteristics. So it all worked, and came up with a few knife designs. I started it with 3 knives. We weren't overly funded either.
Were all 3 knives on your Kickstarter?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Yep. And we weren't overly funded or anything. We didn't, like, you know, we only, I think, asked for, I think our goal was like $5,000, and I think we hit almost 50, which was really good. We were like, oh my gosh, you know, but then that $50,000 doesn't go very far. You know that. That's like a drop in the bucket for what it is that you're doing and what I was trying to do. And so I found an investor to help me out. And from there, I have a very, very good friend that gives me manufacturing credits in Taiwan and in China. And that's really good. So we've worked together for so many years that I've actually kind of become a broker for him, manufacturing for some other companies. And he does just amazing work. He's probably the most honest guy in Asia. And, you know, I worked with him with manufacturing all those 511 designs. So he's been very, very good to me as far as holding inventory and letting me have manufacturing credit and stuff like that. So it was all of those things that came together that helped V Knives become a brand so quickly. But it all started by that kind of grassroots thing of crowdfunding and having people that I never met before just saying, hey, I believe in what the guy's doing.
Yeah, I think that's neat. I've been really just blown away by you know, how many people have come out to support so far. And it's,
you guys are looking great.
Yeah, we got a ways to go, so you know, it makes me a little nervous. But we did real great out of the chute, and then it's continually, you know, every few days it grows nicely. And you know, I think running it on the 60-day thing is probably, it's a good idea, but it's an extra month now that we've got to keep going through this stuff. So it's definitely grueling a bit.
Well, let me tell you the people that you have on your side, as far as with the crowdfunding and stuff, and all those people that are like the people that are here right now and taking their time to just listen to the things we're talking about and be a part of it. Those people aren't going anywhere. You know, those are your people. You know, we have I think about every one of the people that were on our Kickstarter campaign have come back and become collectors of all of our knives. A lot of them own probably close to every model that we make. And that's what we want. We want to find our real customers. We don't want to be a flash in the pan. You know, we don't want to do big super discounts so that people just buy our stuff just because it's cheap. We don't, you know, we want to make a good product, and we want to find our customer base. you know, and that's what you guys are doing. You're finding your customer base. They're all right here. You can see from the comments, and you can see that the people that are engaged. I mean, at the end of the day, if you only have 500 customers and they're good customers and they appreciate high quality stuff, that's the people that you make stuff for. You're
Right.
not interested in the other people, you know?
Yeah, it's just been a learning experience, but it's been fun. It's a neat process.
Mhm.
I it stresses me, but I like it as well. And it's I'm learning more about the sales side of this, I guess, than just when we bang out customs and take them to shows, sell them
Mhm.
to a few dealers. So it's definitely been happening. Hey, we got a question here, Mike. Can you see blood and knuckles blades? Any advice for a young, passionate bladesmith?
Bladesmith growing their brand. Yeah, I kind of do. So there's two different, well, there's a bunch of variety of different ways you could go about it. Yeah, I think Lance's story is that, he's started out making his own knives, and it's kind of a garage or shed type deal, which is where I think a lot of people start. That's not how I started. Um, but if you're a custom maker, you're already making knives, and you're making good knives, and you're very passionate about it. If you don't have the money, like we're saying right here, Kickstarter's not a bad way to go. If you do have the money, then there's ways that you can find out about branding and marketing. And the first thing is just make sure you have a good, solid product. Once you have a good, solid product, um, you can take it into mass production. You can take it into mid-tech production where, maybe you're not going to make 5,000 of something, but you might make 500, and maybe you have a little bit of handwork that goes into them. Everything from ordering steel to laser cutting and however much hand finishing or coating or whatever it is you want to do would really be dictated by what type of product you're making, whether they're folders, fixed blades, who's going to make the sheaths. But I'll tell you what, there is a plethora of information available from really good knife makers out there. I have a really good friend named Ken Onion. I'm sure everyone knows who Ken is by now. And he's given me a lot of advice. We've worked a lot together. And Todd Begg and some other pretty notable names in the knife industry who have just been really great people to work with, and on a moment's notice would just be happy to give you advice. The shows are really a great way to get the kind of perspective of when I start, how do I start, how big do I go, stuff like that. If it's going to be like,
Yeah, I think I would agree with the show thing too, because you got all those guys in one room.
they're there and they're ready to talk
So
to you. They
yeah,
love it. That's their
that's
passion.
good. And I would say too, on the brand side of it is, go out and get yourself some help if you're not like I'm not technically savvy, as you could see at the beginning of this thing.
Me
But
neither.
so and I had to ask for some help there, and I did, and that's where Adam and the Techno Squirrels came in, and they've been really gracious and forthcoming with how to do this stuff, trying to teach me how to do some of it, or just doing it for us. Um, and I think that's getting out on social media and doing it effectively, actually crunching some of that data you get back and seeing what's working and what doesn't, or what is more effective. So definitely look at that route, because I mean the whole thing is the whole world is kind of
A
getting
Ron Stoppable says he has an altered beast. That's one of my knives. Right on.
nice. Oh shit. Um,
So I was going to say something about
Go ahead.
kind of what you guys are doing too, because it's pretty well in line with what I'm doing, even though I've been doing it for kind of a long time, but with other brands and stuff. Probably my most notable company I worked for is Spyderco, years and years. But there comes a time when, like when I was making custom knives, everybody wants one. I mean, how do you get them to them? You get the backlog going, and some people are on a waiting list and stuff like that. And it becomes so stressful when you have a good product, like this one, actually, I think is my favorite, and that's your LPC. And I love the pistol grip you got on it. It's kind of that forward cant. I really, really like that a lot. Big, solid, just beefy, but not so big and beefy that you can't carry it in your pocket as an everyday. I love this knife. And you know, it's hard to get them out to everybody, and you just can't do it when you're making one knife at a time. So at some point, if you really want to have some staying power, and if you really want to have your designs out there and being used by everyone, like law enforcement, those guys, you know that you're an ex-SWAT guy, right? You're a cop, basically. Those guys don't make enough money to be able to buy $500, $600, $700 knives. At some point, you have to make something they can afford. So you have to kind of have those levels of, you know, this is our $100 knife, this is our $200 knife, so you know what I mean. And then the fixed blades and the like. But I just wanted to have a way to get my products, my designs out to everybody. And this was the way to do it, is, you know, manufacture where I can make super high quality stuff, and where I can make sure the quality's perfect, but then make it at a price that everyone can afford.
Yeah, I mean, I just think consistently they're tighter, which I like. And, you know, that was the whole goal, or one of the main goals on this, was to get more knives, especially like in my buddies' hands. You know, they all liked what we were doing, but they just couldn't afford it. Hell, I can only, you know, I only own one of my own knives. You know, I can't afford much. So I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I think that's what this has allowed us to do. Because, you know, we've been talking about this for, I don't know, good 10 years doing something together. So, you know, Mike and I have known each other for a while, and we've always kicked around wanting to do something together. So when this finally came up and I called him back, I'm like, hey, I think this is really going to go this time. It's not just me talking or wanting to do something. I need you to talk to my boy, Adam. And, you know, from there, it really took off. And I've been so excited to get to work with you and get the company back up and out there, and in a different format or different product. Yeah, just super excited. This has been a lot of fun. And how do you think we're doing? Since you've been in the industry and you've run the Kickstarter thing, you know, I think I've got a pretty good feeling that it's going right. But what would your opinion on that be, since you've seen it?
I think you guys are doing great. I think you guys are doing everything that when we started talking about all this, like the reload and all that stuff, I think you guys are doing exactly what I thought you were going to do, which is keeping yourself as a designer and keeping your integrity of your product, and keeping all those and even being able to add some new stuff, like your little you know, your kind of your bullet casing, your shell casing pivot and stuff like that. Being able to add some really great features, and still keeping the integrity of the design. And you're gonna hear things from people up one side and down the other about, you know, we'd rather see something like this. And that's good. That's good feedback. You want that. You want to take into account all your customer feedback, and you want to use that when you go to your next design phase. But I think from the standpoint of, like, you're here, you're talking to your guys with me, and I'm talking to your guys too. And, you know, you're the face of the brand, and keeping that integrity. Huh?
That's a little scary, but yes.
Well, but, you know, seriously, keeping that integrity. There's, you know, a lot of times you have a great idea, and some investor comes in and says, well, here, I'm going to throw a bunch of money at it, and we're going to change this, and we're going to change that, and we're going to change this. But what I really like about what you guys, and this guy just, Daniel, says micro LPC there. So, you know, that's feedback, and it's very important to, you know, make notes and write that stuff down. But I'm real impressed that you guys have been able to deliver something that, you know, I've seen this so many times. I've seen it on Blade Magazine front cover. I've seen this at your table at the Blade Show. You know, I finally have one. And had you not done what you're doing now, I would never buy one. I wouldn't have been able to afford to, but I love it. I'm glad that I have one. And I don't just carry my own brand. I carry other brands. There's a lot of brands that I like out there, just like you. You know, there's and I'm not going to name any of them because I'm not here to do like a infomercial for somebody else's knife company, but
Right.
there are some. But I will tell you, people that do make good knives. Spyderco makes a great knife, a good everyday carry for $100 or whatever. I worked there for over 12 years. I can tell you they're good, solid knives. Benchmade's good knives. Kershaw makes good knives. CRKT makes good knives. And there's a lot of just purely American manufactured knives that are really great too. Bradford makes a great fixed blade. And I think what people maybe don't know, or maybe they do, about the knife industry, if you go to a show, you'll find out real quick, we're all friends. We all
Yeah.
know each other. We all, drink whiskey and smoke cigars together outside the show, and we all share information and share knowledge. There's a couple of stingy people out there, but I think for the most part, the knife industry is really one of the great industries in the way that even the CEOs of the major companies and all the designers and everyone, I'm going to say 90% of the people that I've talked to in the knife industry are just really open, honest, good people. There's a couple snakes out there, but most of them are just good, honest people. They're willing to help you. And,
That's something I've liked about the knife thing. I've really met, like you and, some of my best friends are people that I've met through this knife thing, either customers or other makers. And it's been a real good experience and an interesting journey. So, well, Mike, I appreciate it. I'm going to have to shove off to work here in a minute, but I want to thank you for all your help. Mike and I, like I said, have been wanting to do something together for a long time, and I'm really happy that this came together. Mike has been invaluable with this, so please, check out his brand. And Mikey also, if you're lucky enough, does throw out a custom now and again. So
we'll see.
It happen if you're in the right place at the right time. But his brand and knowledge is just amazing, and it's been a super great help for us. And I'm looking forward to doing more stuff in the future and kind of our next round. I need to talk to you later this week, by the way, about round 2 on some of this stuff. So make a couple minutes for me if you would, please.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to review some of the knives too and post some of that stuff. And yeah, it's always good to talk to you, Lance. If we had more time, I would stay here and BS all day about knives and the industry and everything, and probably even answer questions from people here. But one day you won't have to shove off to work, and that's I've finally hit that moment where this is my full-time job, and I know you're going to get there. You guys got a lot of support, and you got great knives, so I'm happy for you and everything.
And that's our goal. So, if you can go, please check out the Kickstarter. That's what we're trying to do. So we need to make a little more and push that a little further down the field to get there. But it's going great. We really appreciate everyone's help. We appreciate you, Mikey. If you guys like this, let us know. Mike and I are talking about doing a weekly 1-hour knife/conspiracy show.
We'll have to put on the Alex Jones voice, talk about the WASP people from the dark side of the moon controlling the government.
Yes, that will be coming along with knife designs for the apocalypse. All right, Mike, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Lance.
Hey, thank you guys for joining us today. And
thanks, everybody.
Do a couple more of these. You all be safe.
Yeah, later on, man.